On October 5, 2011, the Bay of Plenty on New Zealand's coast looked exactly like this. The weather was calm, visibility clear. Despite those perfect conditions, the massive cargo ship MV Rena plowed headfirst into the astrolabe reef at 17 knots. Official investigations found no evidence of mechanical failure or bad weather. The crash was entirely the result of human and navigational error. To save time, the crew took a dangerous shortcut. They manually adjusted the autopilot to a wrong heading and failed to calculate leeway, the sideways drift caused by currents, which pushed the ship directly into the reef. The collision was the final link in a chain of organizational failures that began months before the ship ever reached the reef. The Rena was managed by CEL Ship Management. Like all commercial vessels, it was governed by a safety management system, a mandatory set of protocols designed to ensure safe navigation. On the Rena, however, ignoring those protocols had become routine. The crew faced immense commercial pressure to maintain tight schedules, leading them to normalize the practice of skipping safety checks to save time. Investigators found that the company's safety system existed primarily on paper. There was almost no actual oversight to ensure that the bridge team was following the rules during their voyages. Treating safety protocols as a paperwork exercise to protect profit margins removed the only active barriers meant to prevent such a disaster. The impact ripped the hull open, dropping hundreds of containers overboard and spilling 350 tons of toxic heavy fuel oil into the pristine water. Thick, black sludge quickly began washing up on the region's white sandy beaches, creating an immediate environmental crisis. Standard maritime rules usually keep the public away from toxic spills, but the local community chose to defy those protocols to save their coast. More than 8,000 locals registered to help. Dressed in white hazmat suits, they spent over 20,000 hours manually cleaning the oil from the sand. They sieved the sand manually, rather than using heavy machinery. This labor-intensive method was far more effective, as it removed the oil while minimizing the amount of clean sand lost to the waste pile. By refusing to wait for a slow bureaucratic response, the community saved the ecosystem from what could have been permanent contamination. At the reef, a complex salvage operation began. Crews used specialized helicopters to hoist containers off the listing ship one by one in an effort to clear the wreck. But 3 months after the grounding, the vessel hit its breaking point. Relentless ocean swells finally tore the Rena into 2 separate pieces. This chart shows the massive scale of the costs. The salvage and wreck removal reached nearly $700 million, one of the most expensive operations of its kind, towering over the government response costs and the final legal settlement. Because international laws cap the liability of ship owners, much of the remaining cleanup cost was shifted to the New Zealand government, leading to years of legal disputes over who was responsible for the bill. The staggering financial toll demonstrates the risk of prioritizing a few hours of scheduling over the fundamental rules of maritime safety. Eventually, the courts granted permission for the owners to abandon the deepest sections of the wreck on the reef, rather than forcing a full, dangerous removal. Throughout the years of salvage work, authorities maintained a strict exclusion zone around the reef to keep private boats away from the heavy machinery. This created an unintended scientific experiment. Because all fishing and boating were banned, the area around the wreck became a de facto marine reserve. Under the surface, populations of snapper and other marine life boomed. Free from any human fishing pressure, the ecosystem around the wreckages thrived. This accidental reserve provided proof of exactly how fast a damaged reef can recover when human activity is completely removed from the equation. The recovery was fragile. When the exclusion zone was finally lifted, fishers returned immediately, and the thriving fish populations were quickly depleted. This clear evidence of overfishing empowered local Maori iwi and conservationists to demand that the area be granted permanent legal protection. They won that fight in 2021. The reef was declared a permanent marine protection area, officially banning all fishing and harvesting. The Rena disaster remains a lesson for the global shipping industry. Safety systems only work if they are enforced, and the cost of cutting corners can reach nearly $1 billion. While corporate negligence caused the physical destruction of the reef, the disaster catalyzed a community defense that turned the wreck into a permanent sanctuary.